New economic data shows the U.S. could be in a recession. The WHO declares monkeypox a global health emergency. And Trump is being investigated ahead of a possible 2024 run. That and more on this week's headlines. Welcome to America Uncovered. I'm Matt Gnezda, filling in for Chris Chappell. A massive wildfire in California has burned more than 18,000 acres near Yosemite National Park. Meanwhile, Los Angeles considered bringing back an indoor mask mandate this week due to rising COVID cases. Many citizens and legislators are opposed to this, but considering the air quality, all of California should probably have an outdoor mask mandate from now on. In response to this fire and several others in the West, the Biden administration announced they would be planting 1 billion trees in the region to try and offset negative effects of climate change. They're blaming climate change for all the forest fires, but I know the real reason they want to plant trees. They need more paper for all the money they keep printing. Actually, fun fact, U.S. money isn't really made from paper, it's mostly cotton. But don't worry about the out-of-control government spending causing maybe a recession, because according to President Biden at the beginning of this week, America is definitely not in a recession. As White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre explained on his behalf,
so if you look at the economic indicators, as the president was laying out, if you look at the labor market, right now we are seeing historic unemployment. If you look at low unemployment at 3.6, if you look at the average amount of jobs that have been created, it's about 400 per month. Those indicators do not show that we are in a recession or even a pre-recession.
She meant the U.S. is adding 400,000 jobs a month, not 400. The Biden administration isn't that desperate to pump up the economic figures. 400 jobs, yay! And it's a good thing there are more jobs, since inflation means a lot more Americans now have to work more than one to afford basic necessities. Are jobs the only metric they're looking at? Do Biden and Jean-Pierre not know what a recession is? This is like seeing a rich couple being shot in an alley in front of their son and saying, there are no indicators for a Batman. Do you want an indicator for a recession? How about this? The economy is struggling so much right now that Klondike announced they would no longer make Choco tacos. This isn't just a sign of a recession, it's a sign of the end times. One reason why the Biden administration has been so adamant that we aren't about to enter a recession is because the Commerce Department released second quarter GDP figures on Thursday. If it showed a decline, which would be the second quarter in a row that the GDP declined, that would mean it meets one big criterion for a recession. And wouldn't you know it, that's exactly what happened. So Biden wasn't being optimistic so much as he was doing damage control. This is like when a kid knows they're about to get a bad report card, so they spend the week leading up to it telling their parents their teacher is awful and hates them for no reason. Also, they might be racist. Plus, this is all Putin's fault. So the Biden administration is trying to soften bad economic news by insisting that the U.S. is not in a recession. But Biden officials don't exactly have the best track record on this kind of thing. After the whole inflation is transitory spin they used for months, before admitting that it wasn't transitory after all. So it's not too surprising that the concern over a possible recession has now turned into political bickering over the actual definition of a recession. We truly live in the darkest timeline. Some accuse the Biden administration of fudging the definition, while others say that's not true. This is like when everyone was arguing over the color of this dress, except if people were also accusing the White House of changing the definition of white and gold. So is the U.S. in a recession? 2 quarters of negative GDP growth is a common criterion for a recession. But technically, it's not in a recession until a nonprofit organization called the National Bureau of Economic Research says it is. Or as CNN puts it, 8 white economists you've never heard of. Yep, recessions are racist now too. But it almost doesn't matter if experts say the U.S. is in a recession right now, because most Americans think they are. And that's how they're going to make decisions. which is bad news for the Democrats going into midterm elections, unless Biden can convince people that the recession is transitory. But a recession isn't the only frustrating thing for Democrats who want to win in November. The streaming service Hulu, which Disney owns 66% of, blocked Democratic ads featuring messages about abortion, guns, climate change, and January 6th, without offering an explanation why other than content-related issues. Several Democratic organizations behind these ads put out a joint statement saying Hulu's censorship of the truth is outrageous, offensive, and another step down a dangerous path for our country. Meanwhile, Republicans said, "Welcome to the club." More after the break. Welcome back. President Biden is feeling much better after getting COVID and is currently testing negative, which probably bums him out since COVID tests were the only positive results he's been able to claim in months. But the good news for Biden is that he no longer has to socially distance, which he was never great at anyway. Speaking of people being kept away from the general population, Ghislaine Maxwell. Maxwell was moved this week to a low-security prison in Florida to serve out her 20-year sentence. That prison offers yoga, Pilates, arts, crafts, and intramural sports like flag football. You know, all the types of activities enjoyed by her and Jeffrey Epstein's underage victims. However, a former federal prosecutor said, "There is nothing cushy about Maxwell's designation. She is going to be surrounded by barbed wire and fences." I'm pretty sure that adding barbed wire fences around a facility doesn't make the activities enjoyed in said facility any less cushy. In fact, adding barbed wire fences around my bed would make it feel more cushy to me since my sleep number is maximum protection against monsters in the closet. So Maxwell gets to serve out her sentence in a much nicer prison, and we still don't know the names of the powerful people that were with her and Jeffrey Epstein on the island while underage trafficked girls were being abused. I'm sure there's no connection there. Kind of like how there's no connection with a rich couple being shot in an alley in front of their son and Batman. Speaking of blights on humanity, monkeypox. The World Health Organization declared monkeypox a global health emergency. So far, there have been over 18,000 reported cases of the disease in 78 countries. There have also been 5 deaths, all in Africa. The U.S. is currently leading the world in known cases, with over 3,800 reported at the time of this recording. This is likely due to the U.S. being better equipped at identifying the virus, and maybe also because the U.S. is super competitive. USA #1, baby! The WHO also warned against complacency with this outbreak. See, while cases have been primarily found among gay and bisexual men, they warn that it could soon spread to all communities. A fast-spreading disease that a lot of people are taking lightly because it mostly affects gay and bisexual men? If history is any indicator, then for everyone to finally start taking monkeypox seriously, Magic Johnson needs to get it. Don't worry, he'll be fine. And after the break, Trump returns to Washington, D.C. Welcome back. Donald Trump returned to Washington, D.C. for the first time since he left office. He gave a speech at the America First Policy Institute Summit. And while he hinted at running for president in 2024, he didn't commit to anything, which isn't a surprise since staying committed to something wasn't always Trump's strong suit. Speaking of Trump, the Department of Justice is investigating the former president's actions leading up to the Capitol incident as part of their January 6th probe, though they noted this is not a criminal investigation. This is in addition to a probe by Fulton County, Georgia's district attorney over Trump's allegedly asking Georgia's Republican Secretary of State to find 11,780 votes during the 2020 election so that he would have won, as well as the ongoing January 6th hearings. Some have speculated that beyond finding any grounds to bring forth criminal charges, these probes are being used to discredit Trump ahead of a potential presidential run. If true, then trying to discredit Trump by giving him thousands of free hours of TV time ahead of a presidential run is a brilliant strategy. Just look at how well it worked in 2016. American WNBA star and Olympic gold medalist Brittany Griner is on trial in a Russian court over possession of marijuana. Griner was arrested at a Moscow airport back in February when she was found in possession of a vape pen canister containing cannabis oil. Locking up a black person for possession of cannabis? I had no idea Russian law enforcement was run by Kamala Harris. Marijuana is illegal in Russia, so Griner has been detained there ever since. Many feel wrongly so. Essentially, this is another Free Britney campaign, but with much higher stakes. Griner testified that an interpreter didn't properly translate for her while she was being questioned at the airport, and that she was pressured to sign a document without an explanation of what it was. Despite this, Griner pleaded guilty to the charges, saying she wants to take full responsibility for her actions. Her defense team also asserts that she took the cannabis cartridges by mistake as she was in a rush while packing. They also previously submitted a doctor's letter showing Griner was prescribed marijuana for pain management. They said the Russian public has to know, and the Russian court in the first place has to know that it was not used for recreational purposes in the United States. It was prescribed by a doctor. Hoping Russia will change its mind based on what the rest of the world does or thinks? That's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for them. Although that strategy might not even be needed, as the Biden administration offered to exchange Victor Bout, a convicted Russian arms dealer incarcerated in the U.S., for Griner, as well as Paul Whelan, an American who's been held in Russia since 2018 for alleged espionage. This isn't nearly as fun as the foreign exchange programs I remembered growing up. Also, Victor Bout supplied arms to warlords. He's so notorious they based a movie off of him. This doesn't seem like that great of a trade, but hey, hashtag Free Britney, because America values freedom. Although not for the thousands of people still in prison for weed in the US, obviously. Speaking of Russia, Russia announced it would pull out of the International Space Station in 2024 and build its own space station. With blackjack and hookers! Okay, they didn't actually say that, but it had the same vibe. However, some doubt this will happen. Former International Space Station Commander Dr. Leroy Chow said, "I think this is posturing by the Russians. They don't have the money to build their own station, and it would take several years to do it. They've got nothing else if they go this route." I wouldn't say they've got nothing else. Knowing Putin, I wouldn't be surprised if he invades the ISS before departing, saying he wants to denazify them. That's right, Nazis in space. I can't tell if that's the worst excuse ever, or basically the plot to Star Wars. So what do you think about the stories we covered this week? Leave your comments below. And be sure to support America Uncovered by going to patreon.com/America Uncovered. Contribute $1 or more per episode. We rely on your support to help us keep making great episodes. Or join our exclusive censorship-free social media community on Locals. Check out americauncovered.locals.com. Once again, I'm Matt Canesta. Thanks for watching America Uncovered.